Hello, you're watching World News on TVP World live from Warsaw. My name is Sasha Farbach. We'll begin with the developing situation in the Middle East. Earlier on Saturday, the U.S. and Israel launched dozens of ballistic missiles targeting Iran in a large-scale operation aimed at disrupting Tehran's nuclear program and exerting pressure on the country's leadership, potentially bringing about regime change in the country. The U.S. Department of War has launched a campaign called Operation Epic Fury, with Iran's capital, Tehran, reportedly struck by a series of daylight attacks and explosions reported in multiple cities across the countries. U.S. officials say the strikes may continue over several days. Tasnim news agency reports that 7 missiles struck areas near the compounds of Supreme Leader Ali Hosseini Khamenei and the presidential palace. Reuters states that the strikes have been carried out by both air and naval forces, with Washington having deployed a significant naval presence in the region over the past month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the attacks aim to create conditions for political change within Iran. In response, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has reportedly launched missiles and drones toward Israel. Videos shared online show residents seeking shelter amid air raid sirens. CNN also reported that the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet Service Center in Bahrain was targeted by a missile attack. The escalating situation has led airlines to cancel flights across the region. As a result, LOT Polish Airlines' flight from Warsaw to Dubai is returning to Warsaw, as announced by the company's spokesperson. U.S. President Donald Trump has released a video on his social media platform Truth Social addressing the Israeli and U.S. strikes on Iran, announcing the intention of the attack is to annihilate Iran's navy and ensure Tehran never obtains nuclear weapons.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces, and we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Sirens are sounding throughout Israel as the country launched an attack on Iran. According to Israel's defense forces, this, alongside text messages detailing instructions for citizens, is a proactive alert to prepare the country for the possibility of Iran's retaliation.
In the last few minutes, sirens were sounded all throughout Israel with an advanced instruction alert directly to cellular devices to stay within proximity to protected spaces. This is a proactive alert to prepare the public for the possibility of missiles being launched towards the state of Israel. The IDF emphasizes that the public is requested to stay in proximity to protected spaces.
Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk posted on social media that the country's diplomatic staff in Tehran were safe following the attacks on Iran. Tusk said contingency plans for Polish representatives have been prepared.
I have received reports from the Ministry of National Defense and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs regarding the attack by Israel and the US on Iran. At this moment, our citizens, including the staff of the Polish embassy in Tehran, are safe, but we are prepared for various scenarios. The unity of Poles on the issue of security is particularly important today.
As the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran, TVP World spoke to international relations expert Louis Virenga to see how likely Iran is to retaliate and what such retaliation could look like. Our guest said American military bases in the region and embassies in Europe are likely to be the main targets of Iran.
I don't think that the retaliation will actually be anything major, because I don't think that they'll be able to do it, because I think this president's pretty serious about stopping them and their proxies. Well, certainly that will include, I mean, the targets are probably going to be American bases and embassies in Europe. With Israel and the United States jointly approaching this, I think that one of the first things that they're going to do is take away as much of their ability to strike kinetically through air as they possibly can. I think that will be less likely than proxy groups targeting people in Europe. And that said, they're going back to the last question. I do think that they will go after, first and foremost, Americans in Europe, and that's going to be the most pressing danger.
We're joined now by Marcin Zaborowski, Europe editor at TVP World, to discuss the latest developments of this breaking story. Good to have you back. Now, Marcin, we spoke not too long ago, but I want to get your sense, coming back on that retaliation now. We know that there have been certain strikes already. We're very much looking at U.S. assets based in Bahrain, U.S., I think, 5th Fleet headquarters damaged. But looking also, very interestingly, at the logistics elements, I mean, leading up to this attack, we know that a lot of assets from the Americans came through Bulgaria, for instance. Do you sense at any point that makes that region also a target in all this as this escalates?
So for now, there is no indication that the American assets in Bulgaria have been used in that operation. So the assets have been unmasked a few days back, and that led to some speculation that they might be used. But whereas for today, we have no indication that actually happened. So it's the American assets in the Middle East, in Qatar, in Oman, in Bahrain, possibly also the logistical hub in Saudi Arabia, which were used for this operation, but no assets in Europe as of now.
Mm-hmm. All right, as of now, we'll keep monitoring that. I also want to get your sense of this quote from President Trump. He said in that video address that we may have casualties, American casualties, and that can happen in war. I mean, with that kind of messaging, I mean, this is no longer just rhetoric. Do you see this now as, let's say, more will happen on the ground? Could this be boots on the ground? Is there any way back to negotiations at this point?
I don't think there is a way back to negotiations with the current regime. I think that Donald Trump made it very clear that he wants a regime change, that his patience has been tested, that he tried to talk to them, and but in the meantime, strategic assets were being unmasked, and that no compromise was being reached. And he now called on the people to overthrow the regime once the U.S. operation is over. So, as we know from the past, the Tehran regime reacts to this kind of threat of to its survival allergically. That means that its resolve would only harden.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with also the words, strong words from President Donald Trump, obliterate, annihilate, but also now with the images that we're seeing, this really is an actual strike. There is something moving on the ground. Looking also at a close ally of the regime in Tehran, how is Russia perceiving all of this? What kind of message does this send to Vladimir Putin?
Well, this is terrible message for Vladimir Putin because Iran has been its closest ally in the region. Russia has already lost Syria as its close ally. Now it's Tehran. Tehran has been a major supplier of drones to Russia. And there were actually periods during the war in Ukraine where Russia was almost exclusively relying on Iranian Shaheds. So with the war going on, it's very unlikely that Iranians will be now concentrated on providing Russia with drones rather than on self-defense itself. Also, Iran has been Russian ally in the context of manipulating the price of oil, and also the delivery of oil around the world, bypassing the Russian sanctions. We could see the consequences of Venezuela, for example, once Maduro was being removed from picture in Venezuela. Now suddenly Cuba is without a supply of Venezuelan oil. So once the regime is overthrown, if that ever happens, but if it happens, then we might expect that Russia will lose its not just military but also strategic economic ally.
All right, so a lot of different things spinning here, but already very much Russia on the losing end here as the story develops. Look, thanks so much for that. Marcin Zaborowski, TV World's Europe editor. Appreciate the insights. And with that, we conclude this update of this story, but many more. So stick right here on TVP World for more updates. Goodbye.